Hello, everyone. It's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. On September 26, 2024, Aptera released their half-yearly report for the period ending June 30th, 2024. And I wanted to kind of go over it with you guys. Most of the stuff in here is stuff that we've all seen before about the usual risks and uncertainties of having a startup that they talk about. But the two things I always want to look at when they put out one of these annual or semi-annual reports is one, how much cash do they have on hand? Because cash is the lifeblood of any startup, and startups burn cash, and once they run out of cash, they are in trouble. And two, what is their cash? What is their burn rate? Like how much cash are they burning through on a monthly basis? So how much runway do they have? Because startups like Aptera are generating zero revenue. They're not selling any product. They're not bringing any money in. The only money they're bringing in is through investments, and they are burning through that cash to pay their employees, to pay their rent, to pay their utilities and things like that, pay their debts, and then they're using that cash to get towards producing a product. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in that if you have more cash, you can progress faster because you can burn more cash, hire more engineers, buy more product, do more things. But then the more that you do that, the faster you burn your cash and you'll run out of money. But if you don't show progress, then investment will slow down, and then you'll run out of cash because you don't bring in enough investment, because investors do not see the progress that they would like to see towards getting a saleable product. So I think they have to thread this needle and try to be as cash efficient as possible while producing progress enough that they can still attract investors. Now, currently, they've closed to crowdfunding, and their only source of investment is this $60 million convertible note offering with US Capital Group, which they talk about in this thing. Okay, so these are the things that are the most interesting to me when we look at this. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down to the part where they talk about their finances. So here it is. This is how much cash they had on hand at the end of on June 30th, 2024. So they had $18 million. So this is in thousands of dollars. So this is $18 million cash on hand, which is a good amount. And then at the end of December 31st, 2023, so the 6 months before that, they had 17 million. So they have brought in more. So they have more cash now than they did 6 months ago, which is a healthy sign, which means that they're not burning through their cash reserves faster than they're able to replenish them with new investment. Then the other thing that we want to look at is what are their expenses. So this is the 6 months ending June 30th of 24 compared to the 6 months ending June 30th, 2023, so a year before. And what you can see is their burn rate is significantly less now than it was a year ago. So if you look at how much they spent on research and development in the past 6 months, the first half of 2024, they spent $8 million. In the first half of 2023, they spent like $19 million. And then that's general and administrative costs. So I'm guessing this is like their how much they're paying their marketing staff and their administrative staff, things like that, their CEOs, that kind of stuff. And then research and development, this is what they're paying, I'm guessing, their engineering staff, and how much they're spending on actual tooling and supplies. So in the first half of 2023, they spent $11 million. In the first half of 2024, they spent $5 million. That's both a good and a bad thing. The good thing is they're more cash efficient. The bad thing is they're spending less money on engineers and supplies. So progress theoretically might be slower, might be faster, or what it is they spent a lot of their capital intensive stuff back in 2023, which is like the mold for the bank and things like that. Those things are very capital intensive. They've spent that already, and now they're just focused on building these PI vehicles. So that just takes less money and less people to do. So anyways, what we know is their burn rate is now $13 million per 6 months. It used to be $30 million per 6 months. So if you put this together, they have about $18 million on hand, and their burn rate currently is about $13 million per 6 months. So if you look at that $18 million cash on hand, $13 million per 6 months, you were looking at about a 7 to 8 month runway. So they have an 8 month runway here before they run out of cash. That's provided they don't raise more money. Of course, they're raising more money through this U.S. capital convertible note offering. All right, so let's look at what they're saying about that. So currently, we're relying on issuing common stock to fund our operations and capital needs. We are also in the process of a best efforts convertible note offering seeking to raise up to $60 million. We anticipate our cash on hand combined with proceeds from this offering and potential future stock offerings will be sufficient to cover our cash needs for the next 12 months. So they're saying that they believe they have enough money on hand, plus they feel confident in their fundraising ability to go for at least another year. The other interesting thing I saw here is, however, there is no assurance that we'll successfully raise the $60 million through the convertible note offering. If we cannot raise sufficient capital through this offering, we may need to pursue other financing options such as debt or additional equity. There's no guarantee that such financing will be available on favorable terms or at all. If we're unable to secure accurate funding, we will have to reduce investment in product development or significantly curtail our operations. These actions could materially adversely affect our business and financial outlook. That's basically saying if this fundraising, this convertible note offering fails, they're in a bad place. They're in a bad place. So they need this convertible note offering to succeed. And then if we're successful in raising $60 million capital in the first half of 2024, so this is the part I thought was interesting. So they're saying if we're successful raising $60 million in the first half of 2024, now we know the first half of 2024 is already over. We're into October of 2024, and I would guess they have not raised the $60 million yet. We don't know what the status of this convertible note offering is. We do know they made their first sale back in August because there was an SEC thing of $200,000. So they've sold, their first sale was $200,000 of the $60 million to a single investor, probably back in August. Now, that does not mean that they've only sold $200,000. It means that was their first sale. So they've sold at least that, and they have to report the first sale to the SEC. But any subsequent sales, they don't have to put a note each time. They will, when they're done with the fundraising, they will report it. And so I suspect that when this convertible note offering sells out at $60 million, that's going to be very good news. And we are going to hear about it. U.S. Capital is going to want to show their success, and Aptera is going to want to show their success. So the fact that we haven't heard about it tells me that this hasn't happened yet. So we don't know where they are in the 60 million. Have they sold only 200,000? Highly, highly doubtful. They've sold more than that, I'm pretty sure. Are they at 10 million? Are they at 30 million? Are they at 50 million? I don't know where they're at. They're somewhere in there. They're somewhere between 60 million and 200,000. I just don't know where they are, and neither does anyone else that's not in Aptera. None of us out in the community know about it because we haven't been told. But they're saying if they're successful raising in the first half, our first estimated deliveries of pre-orders will be in 2025. So this makes me think that the first deliveries of pre-orders in 2025 may or may not happen, because this has not happened. The 60 million has not been raised in the second half of 2024. Okay, so it's the second half of 2024. So they have like 2-3 more months for them to close this out so that these deliveries will happen in 2025. So that's going to be something very interesting for us to watch out for. Are they going to be able to finish this convertible note offering by the end of this year to get enough funding to have these pre-orders delivered in 2025? Currently, I think they're saying first half of 2025 will be the first deliveries. I think that's very, very optimistic based on their track record of hitting timelines. I think late 2025 is fairly optimistic as well, but more likely. And then they are saying that they are thinking about producing a rate of 20,000 cars per year by 2026. That's, I think, the full, when they're ramped up, and hopefully they ramp up quickly and things go smoothly. But of course, again, unknown unknowns, first time doing this, there's always going to be challenges. And we know that things are always going to take longer than they expect and longer than we hope for. So we just have to be patient. The issue is that the longer the longer things take and the more roadblocks they run into, the less progress there is, which makes less investment dollars come in, because investors want to see progress. They want to see rapid forward progress to show that we're gonna get to a saleable product, so they can make a return on their investment. So currently, Aptera is showing forward progress. It's not as fast as we would like. It's definitely not as fast as they would like. But hopefully, it's enough that large investors see it as a good investment, and they put money into this thing, and we can bring this thing to production. All right, so that is what we see in the latest SEC filing. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.